Dan, with active weather in the forecast, I mean, people should prepare for potential power outages this week.
Yeah, throughout our rainy season, you always got to be ready, especially if you live in places that are more prone, like the Santa Cruz Mountains. And I know folks up in the Santa Cruz Mountains are pretty prepared for that. Elsewhere, the Monterey Peninsula seems to have a lot of power outages, and we'll have some potential for that tomorrow as a storm system arrives. We've got a cold front, a potent one, which will have some gusty winds with it. Right now, it's the calm before the storm. As we take our live look for Domenico's on the Wharf tonight. Things pretty quiet out there tonight. Maybe feeling a little bit of an energy in the air as the moisture levels increase, the clouds increase, the light southerly breeze begins to increase in the mountains and on the exposed coast, but still pretty quiet out there tonight. The radar also not showing much, maybe just a couple of returns from some of the mid-level clouds passing by. But as we take a look at our future track overnight tonight, again, those clouds will continue to thicken up around the bay. And as they do so, some moisture may start to come out of them in the form of a few sprinkles and a bit of drizzle, especially up into those coastal mountains like the Santa Cruz Mountains, especially that southerly flow pushing that moist air up into the hills. So as you head out the door tomorrow morning for that morning commute, while widespread rain is not expected, patchy drizzle certainly will be possible for cities around the bay, perhaps a little bit more notably in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Best chance of seeing that tomorrow morning. Now that is probably going to be how things play out for the early portion of the day. A couple sprinkles, a little bit of drizzle here through around 9 a.m. But as we head into the afternoon hours, things start to get more interesting. The cold front starts to work its way in. We'll see it appearing on your KION Weather Authority app. You might look at the radar and see the rain coming in offshore and making its approach by around lunchtime. So by lunchtime, a few showers will be possible. Widespread rain at that point not expected, but also southerly winds beginning to pick up, maybe 10, 20 miles per hour. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail about the winds in a moment. Let's focus on the rain here as we head through the latter portion of the day tomorrow. As this cold front comes through, mid-afternoon is when we're going to see some of the heaviest precipitation. So after school tomorrow, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., this frontal boundary will start to work its way through the bay, and along with it, we'll see heavy rainfall rates. Heavy rainfall rates enough to cause ponding on the roadways, some minor street flooding here or there. So your drives tomorrow afternoon will certainly be damp, and at the worst, potentially driving through some deeper water along the roadways. We want to avoid that, obviously, but it's certainly a good possibility tomorrow with those heavy rainfall rates. So street flooding, I think, is going to be my biggest concern tomorrow during the mid to late afternoon hours as this frontal boundary comes through. As far as the evening commute, yeah, you're still going to be dealing with that. While this particular model showing the back edge of the rain showing up right into Santa Cruz at 6, we'll still be dealing with rain, probably heavy in places. You'll have been dealing with the rain for a couple of hours, so the roads will be very wet, and that's going to make things pretty messy. So that evening commute looking pretty messy tomorrow. Tomorrow night, well, the frontal boundary moves out of the region, but we'll start to see rounds of showers and potentially some thunderstorms. Now, the most instability will be here around 6 a.m. on Thursday as the axis of the trough passes by us. So that's when we're most likely to see thunderstorms. We're kind of lucky in that the axis isn't passing during peak heating around 3 p.m. If that were the case, I think we'd have the potential for some stronger thunderstorms, but as is, we're most likely just to see some little hail makers coming through. So those can make some copious amounts of small hail, which make roads slippery. So that Thursday morning commute also looking a little slippery out there. Showers will continue late morning Thursday, lunchtime Thursday, and eventually into the afternoon things start to wind down. But during that process, an isolated embedded thunderstorm will be possible. Small hail, brief downpours, and brief gusty winds certainly possible throughout the rest of the day. Things do wind down Thursday evening with a couple of light showers kind of finishing things off. Total precip of the first round through tomorrow night, looking at about a ½ inch for cities around the bay, give or take. Coastal mountains, a couple inches certainly possible during that period. And we're going to add a little bit more to that with the showers and thunderstorms as we head into Thursday, okay? Now, let's talk about the wind. That is one area that we do have a warning in effect for, so that we have gale warnings in effect for all the near coastal waters starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow, lasting through tomorrow night. Wind gusts up to 45 knots possible, which is around 50 to 55 miles per hour. So definitely looking at some gusty winds. No alerts on land, but I do think we will have a few issues as we head into the afternoon hours. So this is lunchtime tomorrow, seeing winds in that 25 to 30 mile per hour range around the bay. You'll see them pick up a little bit as we head into the mid-afternoon hours. We're talking maybe 40 mile per hour gusts. So I think the strongest winds will be between 1 and 5 p.m. tomorrow. Some tree damage possible. That means isolated outages possible. Potentially a few road closures and obviously some blowing debris. If you got the trash can out tomorrow afternoon, well, it might be gone by the end of the afternoon. It might be down the street, so something to keep in mind. The winds will be fairly short-lived. While it'll stay blustery tomorrow night, potential for damaging winds does decrease. So that's how tomorrow looks out there. We've got some more rain on the way, which we'll talk about in the 7-day forecast. Here's a quick look at your temperature forecast tomorrow. We're going to stay in the 50s, somewhat of a cooler day, obviously. The air ahead of the front not all that warm and cloudy, and of course behind it even colder. 59 in Santa Cruz, 58 Capitola tomorrow. We'll be in the low 60s in Salinas and Hollister, but barely. Watsonville at 60 tomorrow. Monterey Peninsula scooting out of 60 in Monterey and Seaside, but we'll be in the 50s in Pebble Beach. And then down south, maybe a few spots in the low 60s. That's about it. It's going to be cold enough for some mountain snow in the coming days as well. So we'll watch those snow levels, especially Thursday into Friday. But tomorrow, it'll be high enough that we won't have to worry about it. Showers and storms on Thursday. Rain likely again on Friday. A trailing system is going to come through. Not heavy, but maybe moderate rain with that one. Isolated shower possible on Saturday. Probably mostly dry, though. Early Sunday, too. But rain late Sunday into Monday. Picking up another system on St. Patrick's Day into Tuesday. Looking pretty busy for the next 7 days. So we're going to keep a close eye on this forecast here in the coming days. Again, the tomorrow forecast obviously looks very impactful, and we're focused on that at the moment, but more rain possible to carry on. And of course, you want to stay tuned to our forecast in the coming days. Back to you.
Thursday's looking intense. Thank you, Dan.